Imagine you could borrow the genius of your heroes, not to steal their credit, but to stand on their shoulders so you can see farther. Imagine creativity as a scavenger hunt. You seek out what resonates, collect it, remix it, and turn it into something only you could make. Today, we're diving into Steal Like an Artist by Kleon, a compact, brilliant playbook of 10 practical rules that will remake how you think about making things. If you've ever felt stuck waiting for permission to start, this book will give you permission and a roadmap. Let's go. Kleon's Steal Like an Artist is a short, punchy manifesto for creative living. It flips the myth of the solitary original genius on its head. Creativity is not about conjuring something from nothing. It's about collecting, combining, and transforming influences into your own voice. Across 10 short chapters, Kleon gives practical advice, rooted in his own experience as an artist and writer, on how to study, practice, and live a creative life. We'll walk through each rule, unpack the big idea, and show how to use it in real projects and everyday life. Chapter 1. Steal Like an Artist. Creativity begins with an act of allowance, the decision to stop feeling guilty about drawing from everything that surrounds you. Every painting you've stared at too long, every passage that made you pause, every scene from a film that has lived rent-free in your memory. These influences are already shaping you. Instead of resisting them or pretending that originality must emerge from a vacuum. The creative life begins when you consciously, deliberately welcome those influences in. You start observing the works you admire the way a craftsperson studies their tools, with curiosity, precision, and reverence. You gather fragments. Maybe it's a metaphor from a poem, a guitar riff from a rock song, a clever transition from a documentary, or a color gradient from an advertisement. You don't always know what you'll do with these pieces, but you collect them anyway. Over time, they begin forming subtle patterns, connections you didn't consciously design, but can feel taking shape. When you finally create something, these influences surface not as copies, but as echoes that blend into a new identity filtered through your experiences, memories, and perspective. Stealing in this sense becomes an act of deep attention. You aren't snatching or plagiarizing, you're studying. You're honoring what you borrow by understanding it. You annotate books, highlight lines, rewatch scenes, imitate techniques, and in doing so, you slowly push past imitation into transformation. The more varied your influences, the less your work resembles any one source. Instead, it becomes a tapestry, a distinctive fingerprint stitched together from the many threads you've gathered. This is the true beginning of artistic identity, not an isolated spark, but a constellation of inspirations. Chapter 2. Don't wait until you know who you are to get started. The search for identity often paralyzes creators. Many people wait for clarity before producing anything, waiting for confidence, for expertise, for the right moment. But Kleon argues that identity is not a prerequisite for creation. It is the outcome of it. You do not discover who you are and then begin making. You discover who you are through the act of making. When you start creating, even awkwardly, you begin learning about yourself. Maybe you gravitate toward minimalist simplicity, or maybe you lean into dramatic, textured storytelling. Maybe you prefer slow pacing, or maybe you build tension quickly. These preferences don't reveal themselves in your imagination. They reveal themselves on the page, the canvas, the screen, the timeline. Imitating your heroes becomes a form of apprenticeship. You learn their rhythms, habits, and stylistic choices not to replicate them forever, but to sharpen your instincts. Over time, something subtle happens. The parts of your imitation that don't fit you fall away. What remains is what resonates, what feels natural. That residue becomes the early architecture of your voice. Each finished project, no matter how small, becomes a stepping stone toward the self you're becoming. Planning alone doesn't shape you. Practice does. You don't wait to become someone and then create. You create, and through that creation, you become someone. Chapter 3. Write the book you want to read. Every creator has felt the yearning for something that doesn't yet exist. An explanation that feels clearer, a perspective that feels fresher, a story that feels more honest or exciting. That yearning is meaningful. It is a compass pointing you toward the work you're meant to create. Instead of waiting for someone else to fill that gap, Kleon urges you to use your desire as motivation. When you make something you personally wish existed, the work becomes energized by authenticity. Your taste becomes your guide, and because taste is deeply personal, the result is naturally original. This principle transforms how you approach projects. Instead of chasing trends or trying to predict what an audience might want, you follow your own curiosity. You create the very thing you, as a reader or viewer, are hungry for. And in doing so, you attract people who share your sensibilities. Your ideal audience often mirrors you, your frustrations, your inspirations, your questions. When your work comes from a genuine place, the connection becomes deeper. You are not performing for an imaginary crowd. You are speaking to people who resonate with the same things you do. Authenticity isn't a marketing strategy. It's the byproduct of making the work you long to encounter. Chapter 4. Use your hands. In a world dominated by screens, creation has become frictionless, perhaps too frictionless. Digital tools make it easy to undo, redo, and endlessly polish. But creativity doesn't always thrive in perfect environments. Sometimes it thrives in mess, texture, slowness, and touch. When you step away from the keyboard and let your hands move freely, scribbling, doodling, cutting, pasting, you activate a different cognitive rhythm. Ideas emerge more organically. Mistakes feel less catastrophic. Your mind slows down just enough for intuition to catch up. Analog work reintroduces imperfections. Ink smudges, uneven edges, crooked lines. Instead of discouraging you, these imperfections remind you that creation begins with rawness. The physical world doesn't offer instant deletion, forcing you to adapt, rethink, or incorporate errors into the design. Those constraints spark invention. Kleon's concept of two desks, one analog, one digital, reinforces the separation between ideation and execution. The analog desk is a playground, a place where you explore without judgment. The digital desk is a workshop where you refine what the analog desk revealed. By honoring both forms of creation, you preserve the playful, exploratory spirit essential to good work. Chapter 5. Side projects and hobbies are important. Some of the richest creative breakthroughs emerge when you're not intentionally trying to achieve greatness. Side projects act as pressure-free zones where curiosity leads and expectation retreats. Without the burden of results, your imagination relaxes, and in that relaxed state, ideas flow more naturally. Hobbies, too, feed your creativity in ways you may not expect. Cooking teaches rhythm and sequencing. Gardening teaches patience and cycles. Music teaches flow and emotional cadence. Even unrelated hobbies enrich your mental landscape, offering metaphors, insights, and patterns that later appear in your main work. Side projects grow at their own pace. Some remain playful experiments forever. Others unexpectedly blossom into defining works. Many creators stumble onto their most successful ideas while tinkering with something they pursued just for fun. Keeping multiple projects in rotation prevents stagnation. When one idea stalls, you shift to another, allowing your subconscious to continue solving the first problem in the background. This creative cross-pollination keeps the mind stimulated and reduces burnout. Variation isn't distraction, it's nourishment. Chapter 6. The Secret. Do good work and share it with people. Kleon distills the creative journey into two actions that sound simple but require courage and commitment. Make good work and share it. Making good work isn't about perfection. It's about honesty, effort, and improvement. It's about showing up consistently, embracing failure as a teacher, and being patient with your own evolution. Good work grows from repetition, from drafts, from revisions, from trying again when the last attempt fell flat. Sharing your work publicly is the second, equally important step. When you share, even imperfect things, you begin forming a dialogue with the world. People see your progress. They respond, react, critique, encourage. Their engagement helps shape your perspective, refine your voice, and strengthen your ideas. The internet has erased traditional gatekeepers. You no longer need permission to publish. A sketch, a paragraph, a 2-minute video, any of these can be shared instantly, reaching people across the world. When you show your process, not just your polished outcomes, you invite others into your creative life. Small, consistent sharing builds trust. It shows that your creative journey is active, evolving, and worth paying attention to. Chapter 7. Geography is no longer our master. There was a time when creative careers were geographically confined. Artists felt compelled to move to cultural hubs like New York, Paris, or Los Angeles to access inspiration and opportunity. Today, that limitation has dissolved. The world has become digitally interconnected, blurring the boundaries that once dictated where ideas could thrive. Your creative ecosystem is no longer defined by physical proximity. You can study Italian frescoes from your bedroom, collaborate with a musician across continents, or learn animation from a creator who lives on the other side of the world. The internet has transformed geography from a barrier into a gateway. Yet Kleon reminds us that physical space still influences us subtly. The environment you curate, your desk, your walls, the objects that surround you, shapes your mood and mindset. A thoughtfully arranged space can spark creativity as powerfully as a global network can. So you build your world deliberately. You surround yourself with images, sounds, books, and tools that lift your imagination. You seek mentors and peers online. You craft a personal studio, physical and digital, that reflects who you are becoming. In this hybrid space, half physical sanctuary, half digital gateway, you craft an environment that nurtures curiosity and expands your reach. Geography no longer defines your creative limitations. Your intentional choices do. Chapter 8. Be nice. The world is a small town. In the creative world, talent matters, but temperament often matters more. Kindness, generosity, and respect travel farther than you think. Every interaction, online or offline, adds to a reputation that can either open doors or quietly close them. Kleon emphasizes that being nice is not about being agreeable to everything. It's about engaging with others in good faith. It means acknowledging influence when you borrow an idea, crediting those who inspire you, and celebrating other successes without envy. Generosity strengthens creative communities. The world of creators is interconnected. A designer you admire today may become your collaborator in a year. A writer you compliment now may recommend you for an opportunity later. A small gesture of appreciation can begin a relationship that transforms your career. Conversely, hostility, arrogance, or petty arguments leave lasting impressions. Time spent criticizing others publicly is time stolen from your own growth. Redirecting that energy into creation is not only healthier, but more productive. When you uplift others, you uplift yourself. Creativity thrives in an atmosphere of goodwill. Chapter 9. Be boring. It's the only way to get work done. Behind every groundbreaking artist is a life built on quiet discipline. Creativity requires emotional stability, financial stability, and structured habits, the very things that seem unglamorous from the outside. Kleon dismantles the myth of the chaotic genius who thrives on disorder. In reality, creative breakthroughs emerge from routines, scheduled work hours, consistent sleep, steady income, and manageable obligations. When your basic needs are secure, your mind gains the freedom to explore, experiment, and take risks. Being boring means saying no to distractions, not because you lack excitement, but because you're protecting your creative energy. It means budgeting so financial anxiety doesn't suffocate your imagination. It means maintaining a healthy lifestyle so you have the physical and mental endurance to create. Routines act as anchors. A daily log helps you see progress that might otherwise feel invisible. A simple calendar streak can motivate you to keep going. Your creativity is not a lightning bolt. It's a renewable resource you cultivate through consistency. Professional creativity is not wild chaos. It's disciplined commitment. Chapter 10. Creativity is subtraction. The instinct to add ideas, features, colors, words, is natural, but true clarity emerges from subtraction. Constraints sharpen vision. They focus energy. They prevent overthinking and force decisive choices. When you limit yourself, you free yourself. A strict time window pushes you to prioritize what matters. A limited color palette encourages inventive combinations. A short video format forces concise storytelling. Constraints don't shrink creativity, they stimulate it. Subtraction also applies to life. Removing distractions, decluttering your workspace, cutting unnecessary commitments. All these actions create space for deeper work. What remains after subtraction is the essence of your creative voice. Editing is one of the most powerful acts of creation. You sculpt not only by adding, but by removing. The goal is not minimalism for its own sake, but clarity, revealing the cleanest, strongest version of your idea. Creativity thrives when excess falls away. It is in the intentional pruning that your true form appears. There's no mystical secret here. Creativity is a practice. Kleon's 10 rules are simple but hard. They're habits you can build. Start by stealing honestly. Collect influences, make things the way you want them to exist, and publish. If you take one thing away, let be this. Start. Pick one small constraint, one daily habit, and one swipe file item to steal from this week.